Mahrez with the 2 goals, Kevin De Bruyne involved with everything good once again, Jurgen. But I thought this really was like almost the coming of Phil Foden for people maybe who haven't seen too much of him in the Premier League. He's only 20, Jurgen. How good could he be?
Oh, there are no limits for Phil Foden. I mean, he showed that already many times this year. But it's really fun to watch on that Man City team is really how they rotate, how they smell each other, how they change the positions. And then once they lose the ball, how they chase the ball again and how they work defensively. And this is also, going back to Pep Guardiola. In a game like today, you need to have everybody buying into your defensive duties. And that's what these guys do. Mahrez and even De Bruyne goes back. They are feisty. Foden, he just started off the game with fouling a PSG player, being really feisty. And this is really, really important. And then they have their qualities. Once they're in possession of the ball, people like Gundogan can feed you, Bernardo Silva can feed you. So there are 5 players, basically, they can score anytime. But then they take over responsibilities also defensively. And this is really the handwriting of Pep Guardiola. You have to have them buy into this whole model of defending together and attacking as a whole unit as well. But Phil Foden is just fun to watch. The entire team is fun to watch. And we are seeing, hopefully, a very, very exciting Champions League final.
Dan, if I may say something about Foden, I think really what amazed me the most, especially on the second goal, that how many players of 20 years old in a semi-final of the Champions League who would have tried to shoot when they have the possibility, where him decided to give the ball in the far post to Mahrez and has been so clever about that. He showed experience, he showed altruism, altruism, and he is an absolutely complete player already at 20 years old. That's amazing for me. He has everything.
He must have, when Guardiola came into Man City, and I don't, he'd have been 15, 16 then, wouldn't he?
Yep.
He must have thought he'd won the lottery when he saw the young man, because you could see it straight away. There have been others, but I have rarely saw somebody at 18, 19 and 20 have the ability at this level to understand everything that's around them. When the ball comes to him, to let it know when to run across him. It glides across him, and when to shield it from a player, when to run across his body and takes it away in that left foot beautifully, his touch, his balance. It's amazing. I go back to something that I heard about the manager say to the board when they said, look, we have to replace David Silva. What we're going to do about it? And apparently Guardiola said to the board, we don't have to replace him. We've got a young man coming through. This was 18 months ago, maybe 2 years. So we've got a young man coming through, and I think he's going to be the real deal. Now, it's taken a while, and there's been a lot of talk about, well, the lad needed to go out and play on loan, and he's not going to get game time. They've talked about it till they're blue in the face in England, and radios and TVs. But the manager has been steadfast in saying, and in fairness to him, saying, no, he's not going on loan, he's going to get game time here. And most people scratched their head and said, where?
Right.
Because at the time there was Sterling, there was Mahrez, there was Bernardo Silva, there was Kevin De Bruyne. And at that point they were playing with a striker. So Kevin De Bruyne and all these players that are playing the false nines, they were playing in the playmaking roles. Where was this young man going to play? But his performances, probably in training, but certainly in games, have been so good that he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment. You just can't leave him out. He's superseded Sterling for club, and I think for country. He'll be the first player on Gareth Southgate's team sheet when he gets to the Euros. And that's not hyperbole. Honestly, we've all played and seen some of the best players in Europe and the world. We've been fortunate enough to play with them. And he has the potential, if he's injury-free, to be one of the best English players the last 20, 30 years. You think about Paul Gascoigne. I played against him many times. He was an unbelievable talent. This kid has the ability to go all the way.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.